Princess Diana, or as we love to call her, People's Princess, had access to several amazing mansions as she was married into the royal family, but her residences prior to her marriage to Prince Charles were just as remarkable. The Princess of Wales lived in a number of royal homes during her lifetime, including homes owned by the Crown, an apartment in London, and estates from both sides of her family. Though she only lived in 6 houses in total, they were all quite amazing, with their unique stories, and we will take you on a virtual tour from her first ever home in Sandringham Estate to Highgrove. We believe you will feel the warmth of her childhood days growing up with siblings, her independent life in London's flat shared with friends, and royal life in its different conditions. Stay with us till the end of the video to discover rare images of her living space and the detailed sequence of how her royal story was unwinding. But we will start with the most beautiful place, where she raised her children and planned charity events even after her divorce, and its name is Kensington Palace. After their marriage, Diana and Charles settled into apartments 8 and 9 at Kensington Palace, a Jacobean mansion purchased in 1689 by William III and then expanded by architect Christopher Wren. Their apartment is located within the quadrangle that sits between Clock Court and Ivy Cottage and is one of several royal apartments within the palace. Kensington was the birthplace and childhood home of Queen Victoria and has been home to Princess Margaret, Prince William and Kate Middleton, and Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. Diana had the 3-story home decorated by South African designer Dudley Poplack. For the newlyweds, Poplack created a contemporary take on the traditional country house design. Many of the rooms were decorated with delicate designs and soft colors, creating an exquisite yet airy aesthetic. Dragons of Walton Street designed the nursery, which occupied the whole 3rd level. The interiors in the public photo with the young Prince William, which combine wallpaper, borders, frills, and ruffles in a way that is distinctively 80s, definitely speak to their era. Princess Diana's interior design was stylish, cozy, and as comfortable as a palace's chambers, which are filled with valuable artwork and furnishings, can be. Princess Diana's personal belongings, such as pictures of her kids and her school tuck box, were arranged on her desk in the living room. The drawing room, which also served as Diana's office, was bright with blue drapes and pastel blue floral wallpaper, and it was comfortable with a pink sofa with cushions. Pictures of her family were scattered all around the house, but especially in the living room. Princess Diana's living room featured not 1, but 2 sitting areas. Opposite her pale yellow sofas sat a cozy green couch with bright cushions, along with a textured bench that sometimes doubled as a resting place for her collection of coffee table books. It was much more subdued in the drawing room, where Prince Charles and Diana frequently met for formal business. Diana found the ideal balance with a mix of modern and antique furniture, historical art hanging on the walls, and pastel yellow walls. Despite her well-known struggles with the demands of public royal life, Diana developed a deep affection for Kensington Palace, which she came to refer to as KP. Nevertheless, for Diana, Kensington Palace is more associated with the place where she raised her 2 sons, Princes William and Harry. She worked tirelessly to create a warm and loving environment for her children, despite the challenges she faced in her marriage. Amid all the pressures of royal life, the sunken garden was reportedly Diana's favorite spot amid Kensington Palace's serene gardens. Previously called the Dutch Garden, it adds secluded areas for reflection with arbors and benches encircling a tiny pool of water with beautiful circular borders of lovely plants. After her divorce, Diana remained in Kensington Palace in apartment 8, where a statue of her can be found in the sunken garden. The apartment became a sanctuary for Diana, who embraced her independence and focused on her charitable work. She used her platform as a member of the royal family to raise awareness and funds for causes close to her heart, including the fight against landmines and the care of those suffering from HIV/AIDS. But let's get back to the starting point, the place where People's Princess was born. Park House, Sandringham Estate. In Norfolk, England, at Park House, which is a residence on the royal family's Sandringham Estate, Lady Diana Spencer spent her very first years. Park House was the family home of Diana's mother, Frances, whose own mother had been a lady-in-waiting to the Queen Mother. The future King Edward VII had purchased Sandringham a year earlier and had constructed the house in 1863. The Spencer family had leased the house from the royal family for many years, and it was here that Diana and her siblings enjoyed a privileged upbringing. The grand estate provided a beautiful backdrop for Diana's early years, and she often fondly remembered her time spent there. The exterior of the building features exposed brown brick walls, white sash windows, and balconies for a selection of rooms. Diana resided at Park House until 1976, the time when her father inherited Althorpe House. Charles Spencer, Diana's brother, reminisces about the house in the 2004 book Diana, a Portrait. He told author Rosalind Coward that it was the best place to grow up. It was big and beautiful. There was a tennis court, a swimming pool, and a sizable garden. They both were unaware of how fortunate they were to grow up in such a beautiful setting. The late princess's bedroom as peaceful and relaxing, with views that overlooked a cricket pitch and gardens. There was a framed portrait of Diana that hung over a Christmas fireplace. According to Diana's former nanny, Ing Crane, she was very, very cuddly. There has always been something special about Park House and its atmosphere for kids, yet no one ever could point out the exact reason. Diana also spent a large portion of her childhood at boarding school, where she received her education, as do many young women from her family. At the age of 9, she transferred to Riddlesworth Hall School, an all-girls boarding school close to Thetford, after starting her education at Silfield in Gayton, Norfolk. Later, Park House was converted into a hotel for visitors with disabilities, but in 2020, the nonprofit organization that managed it stopped using the space. Unfortunately, Park House is barely recognizable from its time with the Spencer family or the charity organization, but let's get back to young Diana, who eventually would move into a new home. Althorpe Estate. Royal fans of the Crown TV series will know about the second home of Princess Diana in Althorpe Estate, from the scene where Prince Charles meets Diana for the first time, as she creeps across a grand empty hall dressed as a nymph. Certainly, it was just a movie, and their first acquaintance was not such as described in the plot. But the house is indeed a remarkable one, serving as a family seat of the Spencers, and since 1508, and hosting many royal family members over the ensuing centuries. Diana and her family moved to Althorpe in 1976, when she was 14 years old, after her father, John Spencer, Viscount Althorpe, came into his title. Despite the bitter state of her parents' relationship, she enjoyed living here. A former Althorpe cook, Betty Andrews, once told in an interview, "Looking back, it was probably the happiest time of her life." She spent her early years among the opulent interiors of the estate, which include one of Europe's finest private collections of furniture, paintings, and ceramics. She also learned to tap dance in Wooton Hall. 20 generations of Diana's family have resided in the magnificent stately home for more than 5 centuries. Her noble lineage may be traced back to notable individuals like Mary Queen of Scots and George Washington. The mansion has numerous beautiful rooms, such as the picture gallery, which features Van Dyck paintings and is where the current Earl Spencer was captured in camera. With the 90 rooms in possession, there were lots of places for young Diana and her siblings to wonder about. With its wooden floor, white walls, gilt-framed paintings, elaborate cornice, and amazing chandeliers, Althorpe House's main staircase is a magnificent sight that sets the tone for the rest of the property. It is the current Earl's favorite room in the house and features an outstanding library with countless bookcases. When Diana returned to Althorpe after her marriage, her favorite spot to sleep was the famous King William bedroom, which was decorated in blues and brilliant yellows. Before Diana moved out from the Althorpe estate to live separately in her own flat in London, she met Charles in 1977 when she was 16, and he was dating her older sister, Lady Sarah. And it was just the beginning of a romantic link. Coleherne Court, London. The 18-year-old future princess relocated to London in 1979 and purchased an apartment in the South Kensington neighborhood's Coleherne Court. Diana rented out the spare rooms of her 3-bedroom flat to friends for $20 a week. She resided in Flat 60 of the Edwardian red brick mansion complex. Diana worked as a nanny and at a kindergarten while residing in the flat, using $60,000 that she inherited from her American great-grandmother as the deposit. While the interior is regal and distinctly British, the red brick building is particularly prestigious. What's interesting, by the time Diana came in, the Edwardian mansion block in London's South Kensington area had already gained a fairly stylish reputation as a home where future brides-to-be would spend their years without a spouse until finding a suitable one. In the biography book, Diana, in her own words, the author said the People's Princess described her London flat-share experience as one of the happiest times of her life. Morton wrote that she laughed her head off there. Later, Coleherne Court became overrun with journalists and paparazzi as Diana unfolded her royal story. On a rural weekend in 1980, when Charles met Diana once again, he made real intentions to pursue his future bride. He invited her to join him on the royal yacht Britannia at Cowes, and then to see the Queen and Queen Mother at Balmoral, which was originally the Queen's summer residence, in November of that same year. It is known that in 2021, a 3-bedroom apartment in the building was sold for almost $4.34 million. Clarence House. Diana and Charles began making public appearances together, starting with the fundraising event in Goldsmiths Hall in March 1981. Following their official engagement, Diana left her job as a nursery assistant and moved into Clarence House to prepare for their wedding that summer. The transition from lower aristocracy to full royal status was symbolized by Diana's entry into Clarence House. Built for the Duke of Clarence in the 1820s by famed architect John Nash, the home is situated on the Mall in Westminster, London. Although it is close to St. James's Palace, it provides the royals with a far more relaxed and comfortable living environment. Expanded in 1873, the brilliant stucco-faced building has been home to numerous royals, including the Queen Mother, who lived there from 1953 until her death in 2002, and the future Queen and Duke of Edinburgh, who began their married lives there. King Charles and Camilla currently own the Clarence House. Grade 1 listed, the property is not only a base for the Prince of Wales, but also provides offices for the Duke's household, with 5 principal rooms acting as receptions for entertaining and receiving diplomatic visitors. The Lancaster Room, a drawing room with a central fireplace and views of the garden shared with St. James's Palace, is the first room in the home. 3 sizable cabinets brimming with hardcover art, history, and geography books are among the many treasures, antiques, and books from around the globe that occupy the area. Although the walls have been painted a more subdued cream, the room's layout is reminiscent of when the Queen Mother occupied it. Since Prince Charles grew up in the house, he has retained many of the decorations from that era, as well as some of the Queen Mother's embellishments, such as the artwork in the morning room by John Piper, Graham Sutherland, and Augustus John. Located across the hall from the Lancaster Room, the morning room is a drawing room with cool blue decor that has hosted numerous high-profile visitors. The library, a transitional space between the morning room and the dining room, is accessible through double doors. It has served as a reception area for casual events and has a central table that is typically arranged for tea. The dining room can accommodate 12 people, but the table is usually arranged for 8. It has a variety of paintings and antiques, including a portrait of 3 former family dogs. While Diana spent the night before her wedding at Clarence House, she also lived for a while at Buckingham Palace. While massive preparations were being made for what was expected to be one of the largest royal marriages in history, Diana resided at the renowned royal residence. On July 29, 1981, Diana, then 20 years old, got married to Prince Charles, then 32, at St. Paul's Cathedral. One of the most recognizable royal images ever taken is this kiss on the balcony of Buckingham Palace. Over 500,000 people lined the streets of London to see the new princess in her magnificent 25-foot wedding train, while an estimated 750 million people watched the fairy tale wedding from across the world. Highgrove House. As a member of the royal family, Diana lived in a number of grand residences, including Highgrove House. The Prince of Wales purchased the Georgian neoclassical home, which dates back to the late 18th century, in 1980, around the time he started seeing his future wife. Diana also called on Poplack to help furnish Highgrove House, although even the designer couldn't turn Diana into a fan of the 9-bedroom home. Diana was reputedly not fond of Highgrove, preferring time spent in the London apartments at Kensington Palace. However, they visited often on weekends, and Princes William and Harry spent a lot of their childhoods at the Gloucestershire house. The princess reportedly took her young sons shopping in the neighboring towns of Tetbury and Cirencester when she was living at the estate, and the locals grew accustomed to seeing the royal family. After so many years, Highgrove House and its gardens became a prominent point for tourists. The building was also renovated by the late Robert Kyme, who also decorated rooms at Clarence House. Nevertheless, throughout her life, the people's princess had a greater interest in children's charities rather than a luxurious lifestyle. Diana was known for the easy way in which she interacted with the children she met during her royal visits. Tragically, Diana's life was cut short in a car accident in Paris in 1997, and eventually, she would return to the place she felt happy in her childhood, to an island in an ornamental lake known as the Oval in the grounds of Althorpe House. Despite the burial site being off limits, people can visit a temple nearby, which features a quote from the princess saying, "Nothing brings me more happiness than trying to help the most vulnerable people in society." Despite her untimely death, Diana's legacy lives on in the hearts of those who loved and admired her. Her homes, from the grand estates of her childhood to the royal residences of her adult life, bear witness to the remarkable woman she was. Princess Diana may have lived in some of the most luxurious homes in England, but it was her compassion and grace that truly defined her. We believe you have words to describe the life of Princess Diana, and we want to hear them all. Feel free to write down your comments and let us know what house and its atmosphere you like the most. Would you like to hear more about royalty and tremendous estates that keep secrets of regal life? Give us ideas for our new videos. Thank you for watching.